What the biggest downfall is the aerobic system. Right here, that cardio, okay? That people don't have good lungs, man. And I say good lungs, I don't really mean they have bad lungs. I just mean they don't train them. Because if you're going to the gym and you're lifting weights and you go, yeah, but after I get done deadlifting and I'm squatting, like, man, I'm so tired. Weightlifting's pretty much cardio. No, it's not, right? Just like when any elite athlete trains, they try to train as close to the conditions of game day. Why do people do that? Law of specificity. If you want to get good at running, you should run. Going and saying, I went on a walk with my dogs. I don't know about you guys. Look, I'm all for getting movement, but like that also is not really working your oxidative system. I'm just going to tell you that right now. You going on a walk on pretty flat ground at like a moderate pace, talking to your friend on the phone, that's not cardio. It's not. Biggest takeaways, guys, is you need to train all three energy systems. You need, if you're going to the gym, you're probably training the first two. If you're not purposefully doing separate cardio, you're missing out on the oxidative, and that's going to be your Achilles heel. What's going on, everybody? My name is Stefan Coons, and I'm the owner and CEO of Pursuit Health and Performance. What's up? In this episode, I'm going to teach you how to crush your fitness test, whether you're in the military, right? Because that's what I did in the military, right? I taught people how to pass their PT test as one of my side jobs. I'll get into that. Whether you're a cop, whether you're a firefighter, or really any tactical athlete that needs to take any type of physical fitness test for their job, I'm going to go through how to do it. And here's the thing. You're going to get better at running after you're done listening to this, right? You're going to know how to get better at running without running at all, okay? So just tune in, and I think you're really going to enjoy this episode, especially if you're like, wow, cardio is my Achilles tendon. So here's the thing. Let me tell you a little bit of story. We work, if you don't know, Pursuit is a company that works with everyday heroes. So we're working with cops, firefighters, military, border patrol, basically all the people that have to take a physical fitness test for their job, right? We have SWAT guys, we have a couple special forces. So we have some really, really high performers, and some people in our program are just animals and they're in really good shape. So I've seen a lot of the sides of the coin. Little background on me. I played sports my entire life. I was a wrestler. I'm pretty athletic. I'd consider myself in good shape. And so when I joined the military back in 2010, active duty, I was a PTL. I got Warhawk in my flight and basic training, basically like, hey, you're the fittest guy here, right? 100% on all my tests. I had a really good physical base from being a wrestler and playing sports and weight training. And so I was kind of a beast, right? Like I was in very good shape. So I got voluntold to do a PTL. If you've been in the military, you know what that is, right? Like, hey, you're in good shape. You're going to do this. I was a crew chief by trade, so that wasn't like my full-time job. But when I got off work, and sometimes I got to leave work early, right? Great thing while you're in the military. And what I did is I helped people pass their PT test. These are people that failed. Now, here's the beautiful thing. Everybody, I don't know if it's beautiful, but I think it's kind of ironic. Almost everybody that failed, guess what portion they failed? Now, little side note if you don't know this, back when I was in the Air Force, so 2010 to 2015, 5 years active duty, what the test was running, push-ups, sit-ups, okay? Now, I don't remember all the specific standards. I'd have to have like the freaking chart in front of me because it's been like a decade. But basically, the standards are you have to pass, a run time. It was 1.5 miles, how many push-ups you could do in a minute and how many sit-ups you could do in a minute. Pretty basic. Now, I know other places like, doing CPAT or the police academy or the new Army Combat Fitness Test. I think they've done a much better job. Thank God they implemented some more like functional things. I wish the Air Force would have done that, like sled drags, deadlifts. Like I think all that stuff is awesome. But we're just going to get into the running portion because here's the thing. Every single person that I trained basically failed the run. Like that was it, right? And I trained people from like overweight females in the Air Force all the way to like big jack dudes that just had no aerobic system. They had zero cardio, to people that were like on quote unquote waivers, that were injured, that just didn't want to do the PT test. And, I could very quickly tell which people like really just didn't train, which people trained, which people waited till the last minute and trained. And usually what happens, and you guys, if you're in this career field, the everyday hero community, you know this, people basically wait until the last minute and they haven't done a lot all year. And they're like, oh crap, I have my PT test coming up. Like I better work out. And 30 days out, maybe 60, if you got somebody really ambitious, they try to exercise and they overdo it. right? They're like, I'm going to go start running a mile a day. And they haven't ran for like all year. And they pull something and they're like, oh, I got injured. I guess I had to do a waiver. Well, in the military, you could even do a walk test, but it is actually hard because you have to walk pretty fast. And some people have short strides and short legs and whatever. And I even saw people fail the walking portion, believe it or not. So here's some things, right? Number one, because I talk to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people every single month, like I literally on a monthly basis, like I don't even know, hundreds, maybe even 1,000 people. I get to see all the messages. What's this community struggling with? And from obviously when I was in the Air Force, but that was like 10 years ago. So I could tell you right now that cardio is the number one portion. Why? Well, cardio is hard. Like when you're doing cardio, when you're on an assault bike or when you're running, feels like you're going to die if you have bad cardio. It sucks. A lot of people don't enjoy it. Now you obviously have a group of people that really like cardio or they like the feeling after. I'm somebody that goes through phases. If I'm being completely honest with you guys, I have times where I'm like hitting cardio pretty hard and then I don't hit it as hard. But here's the thing, this little side tangent, post-workout cardio is the best feeling in the world. Like go on a run and then try to be sad and depressed like 30 minutes later. It's so hard, right? So for me, cardio is the health portion, but it's also the mental health. So some people just feel like they don't need that. They're like, I don't have time. I want to go to the gym. I want to look good. So I'm just going to lift weights. Fine. But here's something I want to educate you. There are ways to train and get better at running without running, because what the biggest downfall is the aerobic system right here, that cardio. Okay. That people don't have good lungs, man. And I say good lungs, I don't really mean they have bad lungs. I just mean they don't train them. Because if you're going to the gym and you're lifting weights and you go, yeah, but after I get done deadlifting and I'm squatting, like, man, I'm so tired. Weightlifting's pretty much cardio. No, it's not. You know how I know? Because when I was in the military, I trained dudes that were jacked. Like they looked good. Even some dudes that did bodybuilding competitions, but their 1.5 mile time sucked. Why? Well, because when you weightlift, think about it as in like energy systems. And I'm going to break these down, but basically your body has 3 energy systems. It has ATP, CP, right? It has your glycolytic and it has your oxidative. Those are the 3 energy systems it uses, right? And they go in order. So your ATP, CP, right, is basically like your short bursts. You use a lot of that creatine, phosphate and stuff when you go lift. Okay. A little sciencey on you here. So it's usually like 0 to 5 seconds. Okay. Max effort, 1 rep max, 2 rep max. Then you have your glycolytic, which is anywhere from like 0 to 3 minutes. Okay. Look at this, 0 to 3 minutes. So when people are weightlifting, usually they're in the ATP, CP, and the glycolytic. Like your reps, your set, even if you do like 4 sets of 20 reps are not going to take you 3 minutes. That's like a minute, depending on how slow you do it, maybe in 1.5 minutes. So you're in that glycolytic state. You almost never go to the oxidative, which is basically 3 minutes or more. If you run 1.5 miles, how long do you think it's going to take you? So my fastest time was about 9 minutes. It's a 6-minute mile, but that's 9 minutes of straight cardio. So the problem is if you go lift, what happens is you sit there and you're like, oh, I'm doing, 3-minute bursts, 3-minute bursts, 1-minute bursts, 60-second bursts. And you're in that ATP, CP and glycolytic. You're in those first 2 energy systems. You almost never hit oxidative, right? And you're like, well, I go to the gym 6 days a week. I understand that. Cool. Great. Like crush it. However, that energy system, that last one is almost never touched on you. Now I will say we all use those energy systems a little bit in conjunction, but like which ones are primarily being trained? For the vast majority of people, it's the first 2. If you go to the gym and you lift weights, and that's like your meat and potatoes of what you do. The problem is when you go to run your PT test, you're using the 3rd energy system that you never train. That's why all these people failed. And they're like, oh, what the heck? I go to the gym all the time. Obviously, they would crush the push-ups and sit-ups. How many is it? How much can you do in 1 minute? Oh my gosh, it emulates the weightlifting, right? I'd get like 70, 80 push-ups in a minute. I don't know, even more than that, because I could bench a ton and I would just be like, bop, 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 getting out my push-ups. Sit-ups, same thing, because my weightlifting was basically that. 1 minute, all out, tons of reps, high intensity, but then you do the cardio portion. And I believe the Army, and don't kill me if I'm quoting me wrong, they were doing a 2-mile run. So guess what? Even if you're fast, that's even longer. Maybe it's 12 minutes if you're running 6-minute miles. Maybe it's 20 minutes. I don't know. But you have to work that other energy system. You can't just white knuckle your way through it. And I see it all the time. Like I said, people wait till the last minute. Even for our program, people are like, yeah, I'm joining the police academy and I have my other physical test and I'm 50 pounds overweight and my run time needs to improve by 8 minutes. And I'm like, when's your test? They're like, next month. And I'm like, oh my God, dude. I will say though, we had this one client, Nick. So shout out Nick. I came in and he had a big weight loss goal and he only had like 30 days to pass his test, 30, 40 days. And we shaved off like 6 minutes on his run time. He lost like 25 pounds. Like this guy just was all about it. He crushed it. We ended up actually just giving him another free month so we could continue to train him a little bit up until his test. Cause I think his test was in 40 days. He signed up for a 30-day thing. And so he crushed it. We do have people that wait till the last minute, but here's the thing. They weren't doing it on their own. They came to us and they were like, I procrastinated. I waited to the last minute. I need your help because this is make it or break it. So if that's you, you can come to us. We'll try to help you, but just don't wait till the last minute. Here's a little bit of science and you need to understand. You might come at me and say, so Stefan, you're telling me that I don't ever have to run up until my test, but I just have to train these energy systems? Yes and no. So if you train your energy systems through another method, which I'll break down, but I'll give you a little precursor. Let's say you're doing like rower, assault bike, ski erg, elliptical, stair stepper. That's not running, right? Those are all things. Swimming, those are all things outside of it. There is something called law of specificity, which basically means that if you want to get good at fill in the blank, you need to do fill in the blank. If you want to get good at pull-ups, you could do lat pull downs, you could do rows, you could do all this, but you know what you should be doing? Pull-ups, because it's the most specific, right? Just like when any elite athlete trains, they try to train as close to the conditions of game day. Why do people do that? Law of specificity. If you want to get good at running, you should run. Now, it doesn't mean you have to run 4 or 5 days a week. The biggest excuse I hear is, it's not good on your joints. I can't do it because my knees, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you have this career field and you have to run for your test, you should learn to run. Especially like if you're in law enforcement or border patrol, whatever, you're going to have to chase somebody and it could mean that the suspect gets away or you're putting your life on the line. You better learn to run or don't be in the career. Like, sorry, at some capacity. But I get that like running 3 to 5 days a week might beat up your knees and all that stuff. Don't do that then. For me, I actually have a meniscus injury that I need to get surgery on that I haven't done in like 2 years. And so running has been out of the game for me. When I run, there's like a little twinge and I don't want to like blow my knee. It's a partial tear that's not recovering. I probably need surgery on it. But would you say, well, Stefan, is your cardio bad? No, I do rower and running is the only thing that bothers it. And I hear that a lot from people because the impact and their gait. So the way that their foot contacts the ground maybe is off. So let's just say you're like, hey, running on a normal basis isn't for me. That's fine. But also I will say that if you train all those other things and then you go to run as hard and fast as you can the day of the test, the chances of you getting injured goes way up because it is a different form of cardio. You aren't doing the impact. Your heel to foot strike is not, you're not used to it, right? So the thing that is going to get you the closest, in my opinion, if you can't run, would be like walking incline on a treadmill because it still uses the same movement pattern, right? Your hip flexors, your glutes, your calves, the heel to toe. And if you can't see me, I'm doing like a hand motion for heel to toe. It uses the same thing. It's lower impact. And I think you could walk like every day. I walk at least 5 days a week on a treadmill, 12 to 15% incline, weighted vest. I sweat. I'm working my what system? Usually my glycolytic and oxidative because it's not that high intensity. So I'm working those cardio systems. And then when I go to the gym, I'm working the bottom two, the ATP, CP, and the glycolytic. And I know, guys, I'm boring you with science, but just bear with me. Hopefully you find this interesting. So here's what you can do, because this is probably what you've been waiting for, okay? So number one, like I said, I'll just restate this so it's very clear. If you have to run for a test, you should do some type of running minimum of 30 days out. So maybe like 90 days out or all year long, you've been training on the rower or other methods to get your cardio up. That's fine. But like if your test requires sprinting, you better start sprinting at least minimum 30 to 60 days out or going on some runs, maybe once a week, right? So if it was me and I'm like, I have a test in 60 days, but my knees bother me. Okay, well, I need to run at least once a week so my body gets used to it. Then the other 2 cardio days can be other methods and modes, okay? So here's what I would suggest, right? And this is like what I used to tell people in the Air Force. And I helped people go from needing to shave minutes, like several minutes off their run time in 60 days or less, crushing their test. And look, the run was hard because most of these people weren't running normally, but like I saw them run around the track and they were like the first time like dying. Like some of these people felt like they're gonna have a heart attack, right? Because that energy system wasn't good. Their oxygen conversion wasn't good. And then I saw them do the cardio, put in the work. 60 days later, they would do the run and it was challenging, but they would tell me like, yeah, my hip flexors burned or my calves, but like, I didn't feel like I was going to die. Yeah. Because your cardio system got better. So here's number one. If I would suggest doing a mix between HIIT and LISS. So HIIT is high intensity interval training. LISS is light intensity. Light intensity, steady state. So LISS, L-I-S-S. I put L-I-I-S up here. L-I-S-S and H-I-I-T, right? High intensity interval training and light intensity, steady state cardio, right? So HIIT is very beneficial. HIIT is going to be working your glycolytic ATP CP. And that's, basically like what I would do is I would do a Tabata. If you don't know what that is, that's basically doing like, hey, 60 seconds on, 60 seconds off, 60 seconds of work, 60 seconds of rest. Part of the reason I do that is because it elicits a lot of effort. Sets and reps are okay when it comes to cardio. And that's great, but it's kind of hard to track. I like to just say, hey, I'm going to go all out for a minute and then I get a minute of rest. And it's this like punishment reward system, right? I would pick 2 pieces of cardio equipment. So you could do assault bike or rower. The reason I like those is because they do work a lot of your full body, like rower even more, but like your quads, your back, even on assault bike, your chest and your triceps and your biceps, you're kind of push pulling your legs, but it's very low impact. Rower might be a little bit harder, but like I've seen people that are pretty injured get on an assault bike and it's not going to injure you worse. Okay. Unless you have like broken bones or like a bunch of torn ligaments. I think almost anybody can do an assault bike and it's hard, right? So it's going to work your cardio system. So you want to do like 20 or 30 minutes, 1 minute rest, 1 minute on, 70, 80% intensity. It's brutal. Okay. Any Tabata like that. And you could do, sometimes I'll do 30-second go with a minute rest. It really depends on where you are cardio. Start with a shorter work time and a longer rest time. Okay. Especially if you want to go all out, because what that's going to do is it's going to work a different energy system. So again, pick 1 to 2 pieces of equipment. For me, I also get bored. So what I'll do is if I'm on the bike, I'll actually transition from like a minute on the bike, a minute on the rower, a minute on the bike, a minute on a rower. And guess what? I only have to do, if I'm doing like a 30-minute thing, or let's say 20, that works a little bit better. I'm only actually doing 5 rounds on each if I set a timer, right? 5 minutes of work here, 5 minutes of work here, and then obviously the rest in between. So 5, 5, 5, 5 is 20 minutes. The reason I like that is because I can digest it. I'm like, mentally, I could push myself. Okay, so 5 minutes as hard as I can on the bike, 5 minutes as hard as I can on the rower, 20 minutes on the clock. I got 20 minutes. Here's the thing. It still works your energy system. It's supposed to be high intensity. So, and it saves your joints. Number 2, the oxidative would be the treadmill, right? Like this would be something that is great. I put it on, 12 to 15% incline. I would say this should be longer, right? So HIIT is always going to be, in general, 20 to 45 minutes. Start shorter. Start with shorter work times if you're, quote unquote, out of shape. And then you change the ratio. If you get in really good shape when you do HIIT, you could maybe do 1 minute and 30 seconds of work and like a 45-second rest. I like a 1-to-1 ratio because it allows me to go really, really hard. And I promise you, if you go hard on the assault bike for 1 minute, it's going to take you more than a minute for your heart rate to cool down. So that's challenging. You might even go like, hey, 1 minute of work and 2 minutes of rest, whatever, right? But I would say at least 10 to 20 minutes of actual working time, not including the rest, is going to be effective. Then when we go to the oxidative system, okay, this is going to be when you're doing like light intensity, steady state cardio. So this could be walking. For me, going and saying, I went on a walk with my dogs. I don't know about you guys. Look, I'm all for getting movement, but like that also is not really working your oxidative system. I'm just going to tell you that right now. You going on a walk on pretty flat ground at like a moderate pace, talking to your friend on the phone, that's not cardio. It's not. It's not cardio. Like that is not going to prepare you physically. I'm sorry. Walking is great. You're like, well, I went on a 8-mile walk. Great. That will help you burn body fat. You'll look better for sure. But what that's not going to do is that's not going to help your cardio system when you do the test. Okay. So don't let anybody tell you different. Now, what will help you, check this out, is walking, but making it more challenging. So when I walk at a 12 to 15% incline. I wear a 40-pound weighted vest usually, and I walk at like 2.5 to 3 miles an hour. The difference is I go on a walk with my baby boy and my wife and my dogs, and I'm carrying a conversation like this. I'm not really out of breath. I don't really sweat that much. When I put the vest on and I go in my garage and I do 45 minutes, I'm drenched with sweat. I'm breathing hard. I'm like it's cardio. So please don't try to cheat yourself and be like, well, Coach Stefan said, like, I went on a walk. Like, guys, okay? Flat ground. If you live in a super hilly place, like, great, but you should be breathing hard. You should feel your lungs and your cardio system working. Again, I'm all for walking. But that is separate. That type of walking, going on walks with your family and whatever, that's great for fat loss, but it doesn't help performance. So I want to make this super clear because I don't want you to sit there and walk, 4 miles a day on flat ground with no weighted vest or nothing challenging you and be like, well, I did what Stefan said. I walked and I failed my test. No, you need to make it a little more challenging. The other walking is just an addition. Okay, just movement throughout the day. So a common objection I hear is people say like, I can't do that. I can't do this. I can't because my joints. Like, you can always do some type of cardio. You can swim. You can get in the assault bike. I've never, ever, ever seen one client that's so injured that they can't do something on the assault bike. You could just use your lower body, or you could just do your arms. If you're in a tragic car accident, maybe, you can't do it. Fine. Most people can do the rower. Most people can do the ski erg. Most people can do the stair stepper because, which is it's really hard cardio, but like, that's great for our firefighters, even law enforcement. Like, I'm sure you guys do it anyways, climbing ladders, running stairs, whatever you're going to be doing. Doesn't even matter what form of cardio. There's something. You have to do it consistently, even if it's at a lower intensity. So for me, I do the treadmill in the morning. Okay, I'm not doing any tests right now, obviously, but I do the treadmill in the morning for like 30 minutes. I only make it 30 minutes because I am busy and I go to the gym for an hour and a half later in the day, 6 hours later. So if I were to do like, my oxidative system truly, I might do 45 to 60 minutes. But to me, especially doing it with like a weighted vest and incline, that's a workout. So I don't want to do like an actual big workout in the morning and then also go lift later in the day, 6 days a week. For me and my lifestyle right now, it's too much volume. For you, that might be the best thing. Now here's the last action step. If you were, an action step and kind of question to answer. A lot of questions might be, hey, if I have to pick one, like I don't have time to do freaking treadmill every morning, Stefan. Like I'm already going to the gym and lifting. Like, should I be doing the treadmill or should I be doing the high intensity training? Like, which one makes sense? Here's the thing. You need to do both. I really do believe you need to do both. But if you had to pick one, do the high intensity interval training. Why? Because most tests require you to be at a high output, right? Now, when you do HIIT training, you will work, just check this out, you will work all three energy systems. You will be in the oxidative. Not as much, but what it emulates when you're doing HIIT training is more of what you'll do in the test, right? So let's say you do HIIT training and you go as hard as you can for 20 minutes, okay? Now, the difference between HIIT training is you're going on and off, intervals, right? Go and rest. Well, when you're running for your test, you better not stop. You can't sprint for a minute and then walk for a minute, right? So again, law of specificity, like, is that specifically training what you'll do in your test? No, it's actually not. But how the energy systems work in the body is your cardio will get substantially better. Like your body will be able to continue at like 85%. And here's the thing, even when you're resting for that 1 minute on the assault bike, your heart rate doesn't just drop back to normal. It's still like, like it's kicking in 85%. So within those 20 minutes, your average heart rate might be 75, 85%. Good, because guess what? That is the most closely related to what you'll do in a test. Hey, you have to run. It's going to be like a 20-minute run, 2 miles or whatever, or maybe less. And you're going to go and you're going to run this as fast as you can. You're like, oh, great. I pushed myself for 20 minutes on the rower and the ski erg or the assault bike all the time, 2 days a week. And my body is used to the stimulus. Also, to wrap it up. Oh, also, I go on a run 1 day a week. So my body is used to the impact and it knows the biomechanics and the running form. Great. Oh, also, my oxygen conversion is really, really good because I also do treadmill, right? Like that'd be the most optimal thing. And here's what I would break down. I would tell somebody, hey, keep lifting. Let's just say 3 days a week. Keep lifting 3 days a week so your strength stays up. It's going to help you. Maybe you're doing like a lower body day, an upper body day, and a full body or 3 full bodies. Then I would say 3 days a week, do like a walk on the treadmill. Okay. In the morning, split it up. And then 2 of those days the 2 other days I would do HIIT. So yes, I would do cardio 4 or 5 days a week. Why? The more frequent you do it, the better your cardio is. Okay. That's number 1. And number 2, like most people aren't training like that all year long. This is more for somebody that's like, I have a test coming up. Okay. If it's like an all day long, for me, I would say treadmill every morning. I want to get that mental health, mental clarity, just get that cardio in. And then I would actually just pick like 20 minutes of HIIT to do at the end of my workouts, right? Because it's 20 minutes, right? So, hey, I'm going to lift for 50 minutes and I'm going to do 20 minutes of HIIT, or I'm going to lift for 45 minutes, 20 minutes of HIIT, or for me, it would be like an hour. So it's still a 90-minute workout, but like I just cut the lifting a little bit short and I got the high intensity in. That means every day I'm getting in almost some form of cardio, and almost every day I'm getting in some form of strength. I know that's a lot of volume. I know that's a lot of lifting, but like I'm talking to the people that want to perform really well. If that's not you, if you're like, dude, Steph, no matter what time I dedicate, like I can only do probably like 4 days a week exercise max. Cool. You still need to double up, because you could double up, or you could do, you could just do more, right? So what a lot of people do is they're like, I can't have 2 separate sessions, dude. I work here. I'm not taking 2 showers a day, because I do that. It's a pain in the butt. If I go to the gym, it needs to be all in one session. Cool. So you just go lift for an hour and then you do 30 minutes on the treadmill, or you go lift for an hour and you do 15, 20 minutes of HIIT. Like that's the easiest way to do it. Right. And I have tried every type of thing you can think. I've programmed people for every type of thing you can think. Mentally, it is hard to go do 2 separate workout sessions. Okay. Mentally, it's like, I went and walked on the treadmill, showered, did some stuff. I'm back at the gym again. So it does wear on you quicker. I will tell you that right now. For some people, and for years, this is what I did. I just stayed at the gym for longer. I'd stay at the gym for like 2 hours. I know it seems like a long time. That includes everything though, like my warm up, my lifting, my cardio, and my stretching. Okay. So warming up was 5-10 minutes. The lifting was an hour. Then I would do cardio for 30 minutes and then stretch. And doing that 4 days a week seemed better than doing a separate 30-minute session and then a separate 90-minute session. Same time, but I also optimize my schedule. So when I say that, what I mean is like when I wake up in the morning, I can do 2 things. I can jump to the coffee and have it artificially wake me up, and fine. And I'm a little groggy, and then I kind of wake up and I eat, and then I go to the gym later. Or what I can do is I can wake my body up more naturally, sweat, get on the treadmill, get my cardio going, get my lungs going, which I did today. And I got some Starbucks. Okay. So I'm a little caffeinated, but I did that after the cardio and I feel better. And so for me, I could go do this like really long gym session, but what works better for my schedule right now is actually doing the 2 separate sessions. And it allows me to get in more volume and recover, right? Because as I did the cardio and I go eat, I'm actually starting that recovery process for the gym later. And I know it's a little bit of a tangent, but just to give you guys some info. So biggest takeaways, guys, is you need to train all 3 energy systems. You need, if you're going to the gym, you're probably training the first 2. If you're not purposefully doing separate cardio, you're missing out on the oxidative, and that's going to be your Achilles heel. I see it all the time. These guys are like pretty good shape, pretty muscular. Their cardio sucks, right? And that's probably you. And if that's you, it's okay. You can make small adjustments, but honestly, you need to get on a more optimal program. In theory, could you stick to like a traditional like bro split body lifting and then just like add in the cardio? Yes, you could. I don't know if that's the most beneficial, because I think you'll still lack some like strength and some explosiveness and other things. I do think getting on a program that's a little more quote unquote functional and then adding in the cardio is more beneficial. And the last thing I will say too is it's easier to find a way to implement cardio where you can do it all year long. That way you're not like, oh, I gotta, 90 days and I have my test and let's just start cranking it up. Yes, you probably should do that at some capacity, but if you go from like, wow, your cardio system is it's 0, it sucks, it's complete ass, and you want to like ramp it up, it's going to be really hard, right? I used to do that when I was in the military. I would do like even get 100% on my PT test, I'd almost do no cardio, or what I thought was like not intentional cardio. I did do jujitsu and MMA, so it was a lot, but I wouldn't like run and then I'd be like, oh, I have my test in 60 days. I'll start running. Why? Well, I already had a cardio system. I was lifting. I guess I lie. I was doing a little bit of like HIIT and stuff, but I wouldn't do any running because I didn't enjoy it. I hated it. And I'd be like, oh, 60 days out. I need to get my running form in. I need to do some trial runs to see like where my score is. And then I'm like, good. And a lot of people don't do that. They don't do a mock test. They don't really see where they are. They just like assume that they're just going to show up the day of the test and do well. And I know because I asked these people, hey, when's the last time you did a mock test? Oh, last week. I'm like, what about before that? Oh, I didn't do any. I'm like, so you waited 1 week to see where you were at to get like a baseline? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, no wonder you failed. Like, don't let that be you, okay? I know there's a lot of science in this episode, and I know this is a lot of stuff. This is why we create custom programs for everyday heroes, because I'm not expecting you to understand this. I'm not expecting you to be a master programmer. What I do expect is you to show up and say, hey, Coach Stefan, I need you and your team to help me. Here's my scenario. Here's my schedule. Here's the days of the week I'm available. Here's how much time I have to put in the gym. Here's where I'm at physically. Here's the equipment I have access to. Create a program for me. And that's what we do with our clients. We sit there and we create something for them to where they don't really have to think about it. And there's so much collaboration and back and forth that I'm going to ask you like, hey, is this working? Is this good? How do you feel? You know, did you get your workouts in? How's nutrition? And you're getting all these checkups to where you just give us feedback and we change it. And if something's not working, we tweak it until it does. That's why we have 155-star reviews on Google. That's why we're a BBB A+ rated company for client satisfaction. Yes, we're good at what we do, but it mostly comes down to like the collaboration and effort with your coach. So if this sounds like, hey, Stefan, what you said was great, and totally understand that, but like I don't know how to go create that. I don't know how to actually sit there, pen to paper, and like put it in, and like what I'm doing at the gym, and like what mode of cardio. You don't have to. You literally just need to get help. So that's my call to action to you is hit me up on Instagram, send me a message, go to our website. I think it's thepursuit-hp.com. Any more form of social media. And if you found this episode helpful, please like, okay, subscribe and share this episode. It would be super helpful. This one was a little more sciencey, but I hope you have some actionable steps that you could take in place. Don't be that person that gets kicked out of whatever service you're in because you can't pass a PT test. That sucks. That sucks. I saw people in the military get kicked out of a job that they were very good at just because they couldn't cut it the test. And those same people were like, this is BS. This is ridiculous. Like, I'm so good at my job. Blah, blah. I'm like, okay, well, like there's rules and there's regulations and you should have just done better. Like you are good at your job and that's a shame. So where was the discipline for you like cracking down and just passing the run so you could keep your career? And it's sad that some people don't do that. Don't let that be you. If you're trying to get in shape for a test, check this out. Imagine how much money you're going to miss out on by not becoming a firefighter or not becoming a cop over the next 30 years. Hundreds of thousands of dollars compared to where you are right now, right? So is it worth investing in a coach to get to that point and unlock this whole future career of all this financial potential and doing what you love to do? I would hope so, right? So don't let the investment working with a coach hold you back. It's not a forever thing. It's, hey, get me to this point, educate me, show me how to do it on my own, and then I go be successful. And that's literally what we do with our clients. That's what we've done with 600 plus clients in the last couple of years. So love you guys, appreciate it, and we'll see you next episode.